Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Saints, of course, back at work preparing for their first preseason game with the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday in Baltimore off of their scrimmage last Friday, which at the time did not get good reviews. But upon further review, as they say in the NFL, Sean Payton said he saw some good things.
You know what happens in film review? It's like what is good is not always as good, and what is bad is not always as bad. Obviously, some of the comments that we saw on Friday, most of the negative was about 10 players, 12 players on the field on the defense. And you could sense in the tone of Sean Payton's comments that he was very frustrated at the defensive side of the ball about not being able to get the right personnel on the field. And apparently it's been a little bit of an ongoing problem through training camp. That said, when you put the film on, you're looking at individuals and how they perform. And what was interesting to me is they went back to the practice field on Sunday, although, of course, he downplayed it, as Sean Payton is wont to do. Andrus Peat was lining up at guard a little bit during Sunday afternoon's practice, and has to make you believe that they realize maybe he's one of the 5 best offensive linemen, and let's see if moving him to guard gives him a better chance of getting on the field.
Well, 2 ways to look at that. Of course, that would be Lolito's spot. On the other hand, maybe they don't like what they've seen otherwise, and they're just looking at him as a backup at every position. So stay tuned. We'll see what transpires. Of course, the other takeaway was Kenny Vaccaro speaking on behalf of Jairus Byrd. Since the Saints don't tell you about injuries and you have no idea, and Bird's not playing, Vaccaro speaking out saying that Bird's going to be fine. They're simply taking it easy on him and look for him to be back from that knee and so forth and so on. I'm sure the coaches aren't too thrilled that one player's talking about another player from an injury perspective, since they don't like to talk about it, even though he was still generic in what he said.
Yeah, and they don't. In fact, someone asked Payton about the Bird situation a couple of days ago, and his response was, next question. Yeah. Doesn't want to talk about injuries until he absolutely has to, which will be the Wednesday before the regular season opener. Is the first time and even then, he's basically stopped addressing those at his press conferences. It's all about what is on the report that's provided to the league that has to be published and provided to the public as well.
The other big story in football was a little story for 5 years because there was no winning, a lack of fan support, and a lack of overall awareness, and that was in New Orleans VooDoo, and they are no more. The league announcing on Sunday that VooDoo had ceased operations and therefore it's done. And the only way they would be a franchise here in the future is under a different ownership group with a different brand, which is not likely to happen. And Lenny, as I wrote in my story, and of course I was intimately involved with it, this was a franchise that had just a lethal combination of things that killed it. A lack of local ownership, a lack of marketing, and a lack of winning. And those 3 things are just lethal.
You're right. New Orleanians love what is their own. And while, there's obviously New Orleans attached to the name, still when you have, let's call it de facto ownership in terms of how it was being run. It was basically being run from Shreveport, and the other owner was sitting in Houston. And you need to be able to engage in the community a little bit, and that's it starts at the top. Yeah, sure, you could send players out, you can send a mascot out, and things like that, but you need to be able to engage in the community. Who's going to be the people who buy tickets in large groups? It's going to be the CEOs, and it's going to be the company owners and things like that. And there was nobody on that level here to be able to engage with those people. So that certainly started in, and all the other things you mentioned as well. And look, it's unfortunate. You don't want to see franchises, especially ones that come into our market, not be successful. And, unfortunately, that ended up being the case here.
And to try to attract someone to do something here is very difficult because it's not a winning proposition financially, and the league is struggling. Even though they have 2 national television contracts, some teams don't even do broadcasts now. And beyond that, this league, when the VooDoo came back in 2011, was a league with 18 teams. This past season it was 12. Next year it could be as few as 8 or 10 based upon what's going to happen. Las Vegas gone, New Orleans gone, Los Angeles issues, Jacksonville issues, Spokane widely reported to be leaving for the Indoor Football League. So this in itself is a problem, the league and its current stature.
Well, we know that Tom Benson had a team. shut it down, and basically that iteration of the league folded at that point. It would not be, as you mentioned, it would not be, beyond the options here to see what we know is the Arena Football League shut it down again after this year.
No question. Of course, the New Orleans Zephyrs losing to Round Rock 12-7 yesterday, off day today, and they're back with their homestand on Tuesday against Oklahoma City, back end of that 8-game homestand. Playing out the string, Lenny. They're not going anywhere. This is a team that just really struggled in the second half of the season after being around 500 during the first half of the season.
Yeah, and you have 3 weeks left in the season at this point, or actually, I guess 4 weeks left in the season, play through Labor Day. And what you look for at this point is you're looking to see, while you're not going to be playing for a championship, you've got guys that are maybe looking for that September call-up. Some guys are on the 40-man roster. Others are not, would have to earn a spot onto the 40-man to be able to get a September call-up. Yeah, we speculated this when Aaron Nola went up with the Phillies last month. Wouldn't it be cool if Austin Nola somehow got a September call-up from the Marlins and got to face his brother in the big leagues at some point the last couple of weeks of the regular season? That would be something really cool to look for.
Congratulations to Jesuit-based Retief Oil for reaching the American Legion World Series August 13th through 18th at Shelby, North Carolina for the second time in 4 years. They won it all in 2012. They won the Mid-South Regional, sweeping through, winning all 5 games at Conway, Arkansas. Came back from a 6-0 deficit to beat Lawton, Oklahoma 7-6 yesterday to advance. So kudos to Jesuit-based Retief, richly deserved. And the AAABA tournament getting underway in Johnstown, Pennsylvania today, and the New Orleans Boosters in action there, 2-2 last year, and good players from the college ranks there again this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of spotlight on these summer amateur baseball programs. Congrats to Jesuit. New Orleans has had a lot of success in Johnstown over the years, though it's been a while since they've won a championship. Got to open with one of the 2 host teams from Johnstown on Monday. And it's important to be able to stay in the winner's bracket in those double elimination tournaments. So it does make it a lot easier to be able to play. And of course, we also have a team from the New Orleans area in the Little League Southwest Regionals going on in Waco, Texas. A lot of John Curtis connections with that. In fact, Johnny's son, JT's grandson, Michael, had a huge game in Louisiana's win over Oklahoma on Saturday.
And last but not least, LSU working, of course, getting ready for their season. Tulane doing the same, and Tulane has Media Day. Monday we'll have full coverage of that, so you'll want to check it out at SportsNOLA.com.
It is here. It is upon us. Now, with the Hall of Fame game being played Sunday night, you will not have a weekend without college or pro football until February.
And check out those previews of high schools at SportsNOLA.com over the weekend. You saw University Lab, a great team. Also, East Feliciana today. Tomorrow we'll have Riverside, De La Salle coming up. A whole bunch of previews, a new one every day. Check them out at SportsNOLA.com as we get ready for the high school football season.
And lastly, we should mention our Dome at 40 series, month-long, continues this week and on through August 29th. We'll have a new entry for you every week as we take you through the month of August and this 40th anniversary of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Well done. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Have a great week.
All right. See you later this week.
For Lenny, I'm Kenny. God bless you.